Hey everybody, how's everybody? Hope you're doing well. I haven't done an update in a little while. I've been just finished my third hospital stay, and if you remember from some of the previous videos, the good news about that is that's three or four. So part of the first part of my process is that at Hartford Hospital I have to do 4 hospital stays, and as of Saturday I finished the third one. That was the second round of what they call Part A, and I finished it. And even though the last couple days I've spent largely just lying around, not really doing much, and not having a whole lot of energy, I did finish it, and I'm starting to feel a little better. I think my voice is a little hoarse for some reason. I don't know why, um, but I'm through it. That's three or four, and the good news is I only have one left. So I appreciate all the continued thoughts, continued prayers, continued support. It has been very, very difficult, very, very challenging, and I wouldn't be able to do this without all of you out there giving me some kind of support. I want that to be known. I tell Drew that all the time, especially from just all the things that she's done. But going a little more broad, you know, I think I've come to the realization in the last couple weeks, most specifically the last couple days, how far I've been able to come, and it's because of all the support I've been given. Because I don't feel like I've been able to do it if I didn't have you guys. But that's kind of what I've done. Done the hospital stay and so forth. But something I forgot to include on the last video. I have gotten some good news other than just having to go to the hospital. I think I told you part of my treatment are that I have to go to the hospital, I have to get an IV, and I have to get chemo that way. But another part of it is while at the hospital, I have to get back injections, and it's largely for a precautionary measure. They don't want anything reaching my spinal fluid. Um, I dealt with some headaches the second time, some really severe headaches, and it got me concerned because of some family history. Um, so I made that known to my doctor, and I went in for an MRI, and the MRI came back negative for anything, and that was really nice to hear. Um, Part of the other thing in that whole process was when I go in for my back injections, um, what they do is they take a sample of my spinal fluid, and again, this is all precautionary measure, but what they're looking for is signs that it's spreading, and in the spinal fluid it came back also negative. So far, nothing in my spine, nothing in my brain, and that's very, very good news, and I wanted to share that. So I've gotten those great results back. So trying to make this a little bit shorter video. I know these videos get a little long. So I've done that process. I've completed 3 hospital stays. I've done 5 back injections. I'm due for another 1 to 3 back injections. We're not sure yet. And of course, one more hospital stay. One of the other things I did this past week, some of you may know, was Drew and I made our first trip to New York to go to Sloan Kettering, and I found out some information, not as much as I would have liked, but I did find some information out. When we were talking before, what I thought I was going to have for a treatment is a bone marrow transplant, which I'm still going to have to solve my leukemia issue. But what I thought was I was going to have an actual donor, and that's kind of what we were thinking this whole time. But it turns out that the way the doctor described it is I'm not going to be a good candidate for an actual person-to-person donor. There wasn't a good match, I guess, found on the registry, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. When they tell you about this process, they tell you there's a couple different ways that they could go about doing it, and that was only one of such ways. Apparently, my family history goes so far back, it goes to such a unique genetic typing that there isn't a good match. And that's kind of the news that they gave me. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Another way they can do these stem cell transplants is something called cord blood. And I don't know a whole heck of a lot about it. We're trying to learn some. But essentially what happens when a mother gives birth to a child, there is the placenta and a lot of the words are failing me right now, I apologize, but the placenta and everything that goes along with giving life support to a baby, that blood can be salvaged. And those stem cells are obviously also in their infancy and haven't gone through all the things that an adult person would have gone through in their life in terms of building an immune system. So the benefit to doing this is that when you match an adult with another adult, you have to look for some of the antigens to match. You have to have more of a perfect match between adults. Rather, with a baby, you can get some of the genetic coding correct, not have to have that built up experience, and then put that into a new person, and that's kind of what I'm looking at getting. So essentially what's going to happen is if everything works out, is once I get this stem cell transplant, I'm going to be building from scratch my immune system right along with my son, right from scratch. And it's something that all of my allergies could change. My blood type, I mean, I guess we kind of knew that to begin with, but my blood type could change right along with whatever baby's blood I've been given. So it's not like I don't have a way forward. I do have a way forward, and they're working on that process now. And they actually say that in a lot of ways it can be better. So they're kind of working that out right now. I should hear back by the end of the week. But they also told me that was going to the process is going to start probably around early March is when I'll have to go. So to give you to take a step back, as of tomorrow, I'm slated to go into the hospital for a back injection. That's a one-day thing. I've done that 5 times now, so I'm kind of used to that. Around February 1st is when I'll go in for my second hospital stay. I'll stay there for 4 or 5 days. That'll be the last part of this first round. It'll be my second round of Part B, and then I'll have somewhere around a month off where I'll recover, and then I'll go in for the stem cell transplant. In that February time frame, they're going to look to do some tests to make sure that we've got the lymphoma into remission. And as long as that's the case, then what I'm going to do is go to New York and start that process. The first part of that process will be most likely to do chemo again, but in New York. Then once that happens, then the transplant will happen. And as far as I know, the way I'm looking at it, the way my doctor has described to it, aside from any setbacks that could happen, that'll be the last time I really get knocked down. From here on out, it'll be about trying to build an immunity, build up my strength again, and get back to where I was before. So I'm very much looking forward to getting to at least that point. Something they did say that I don't know if we've anticipated I don't think we interpreted it correctly when we first started talking about this. Is I thought maybe middle of April, end of April, I would be getting out of New York, but it turns out I probably won't be getting out of New York until end of May. So I'll be checking in sometime early March, most likely checking out sometime early May. And again, all of this could be changed based off of how my body actually reacts. Could be shorter, could be longer, but most likely what they're giving me is conservative estimates. So I'll get checked out in May, and then another thing the doctor told me I didn't quite anticipate, but makes sense, I guess. I'll probably wind up having to go back to New York once every week for a while. But the process really is going to be, once I have the stem cell transplant, that I'm just, like I said, I'm building up my immunity, but along the way, they want to make sure that the new stem cells don't fight off anything good in my body. So there's going to be some drugs that I have to take to suppress those reactions, which in turn could cause infections and stuff like that, and cause me to, take a couple steps back at times. The doctor said, this could be a process where you take 2 steps forward, you take a step back, take 2 steps forward, take a step back. So even though it feels like I'm getting traction, feels like I'm gaining progress, I'm trying to keep the mindset that this is a long haul kind of thing, and it's going to still take some time. And even if everything goes perfectly well, once I'm done with everything, it's going to take quite some time to get back up to strength, which I'd be okay with to get to that point at least. Because the chemo really sucks. But so that's where I'm at. Just wanted to let you know. Again, I appreciate everything. Appreciate all the hard work and the thoughts, the prayers, the support, and everything. When I know a little bit more, I'll give you guys an update. So thanks again. Have a good day, and it's good talking to you.